What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the full view. Apologies, we're a little bit late. It's all KG's fault as per usual. KG dropping out, late doors. That's just what he does. But big up to him. Big up to Cam. Big up to DJ. Big up to James. Big up to Marcel. Big up to Owen, of course. And you guys all in the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how you're feeling. And if you want to shout out, drop that in the comments as well. We'll get a shout out to you guys as well. It's going to be a very interactive show. And I think it's an important show. I think it's an important show because after the shit show of yesterday and some of the results that have been happening, everyone's frustrated. The frustration comes out in various different ways. People talk about various different players being the problem or not being the problem and the board. And it's a melee of everything because we're angry. And some people focus on other things. Doesn't mean to say any of those things aren't right. Everyone's got different opinions, so that's completely fine. But I want to start off the big debate, yeah, and feel free anyone to take the floor on this. Is the Ronaldo debate? I want to start there. Like, this isn't a disrespect thing. It's almost like if you mention the C word, the CR7 slogan, or you say the R word in Ronaldo, it's like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you can't do that. You can't do that. But this is a place where we can say as we feel. So anyone who kind of wants to start off, I just want to say, what's your thoughts on Ronaldo right now to whoever wants to kind of chime in?
Flex, guys, big up. Good evening to everyone watching. But this is something that needs to be said about Ronaldo. Like, at the end of the day, his performances in the last 5 games haven't been to his standard. And his standard's a very high standard. And, I think we've been critical of literally every other United player this season and past seasons. We've had our say. And I think it's only right to have our say on Cristiano Ronaldo because he's not exempt from our opinion of his style of play and how he's playing. So with that being said, he's literally he's not at the peak of his powers anymore. He can still do amazing things. He still will score goals between now and the end of the season. Definitely he will. But he is just not the Cristiano Ronaldo that we remember, the one that went to Real Madrid and performed so well, the one that was at Manchester United. Like, he's still Cristiano Ronaldo, but he's not as good as he was. And that's just factual. That's factual. At 37, how could he be? Like, that's just Father Time literally has no favourites. And he is succumbing slowly to Father Time. And Flex and guys, we've just got to face it. I think some of us already know that he is on the decline now. He is. For many years, he's been on the ascendancy in his powers. Now he's on a decline, and it's about how we manage him to the close end of the season. And if he does decide to stay on, we're going to have to manage him as we would normally manage senior players, i.e. they play a few games, maybe 1 or 2 games, and then they have a rest and you phase them in and out in favour of the younger players. Lastly, on Cristiano Ronaldo, his performances haven't been good enough so far. He was great start of the season. It was all the romanticism was there, and we all believed in it. And it's good because he is sort of like the prodigal son returning home. But if we're gonna be realistic, and here's me passing kind of the baton on to everyone else. Has this transfer worked out as we'd hoped? Because people want to always bring out his accolades about not sort of targeting him and talking about him and bringing his performances into question. But I'm going to ask everyone here, the Ballon d'Ors he won, did it make any difference in our last game? Did it have any effect on our last game?
No.
There you go.
Not at all.
So we can always talk about the here and now when we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, what's actually important now. And that's what I'm going to say.
There's a super chat here before I saw you just going to come in there, James. Red Baron says, aren't we being overreactionary with results? I look at our performances and I can see we're looking better in general. Under Ranić, I can see evolution. Patience with Ollie was spent, though. Good point, Red Baron. And that's one thing that is about this show. We want to look at everything holistically, from individuals to overall picture to upstairs to what's going to happen in the summer. That's exactly what this is. This ain't going to be just the Ronaldo show. This is just the start of the show, first sort of 10, 15 minutes. We're going to just get into that and get the guys' views on it, as well as you guys in the comments as well. Let me know. Do you agree? Let us know. Do you agree with what DJ was saying? Are there people in staunch, defense of Ronaldo saying, listen, this is all nonsense. He's the best player to ever live. It's a short, barren spell, which is the first in his career, and he'll be back. Don't forget. Don't be quick to forget. There's that side as well. James, come through, man.
Yeah, man, it's a divisive topic, isn't it? But at the end of the day, I think a big issue in our fan base at the moment is the inability to separate what people have done with actually analysing what happens on the pitch in the right here and now. So when we come on like a fan cam after a game, right, and we speak about someone's performance, like we analyse McTominay's performance and say he was very good, they take that as we're saying he's the long-term answer at DM, and none of us are saying that. We're just looking at the 90 minutes on the pitch, right? So with Ronaldo, it's almost like the fan base see what he's done for the last 15, 16 years, and they don't allow you to criticize for that reason. Whereas it's like, we're just looking at a game on game. And like DJ said, for the last 5 games, he's not been good enough, has he? Like, if you look, Middlesbrough game, not good enough. Made no impact off the bench against Burnley. Yesterday's game, not good enough. So it's like, you can't look. I think if you look at it logically, you can't justify Ronaldo's performances recently. I don't think he's been superb. And yes, obviously, like DJ said, right, Ronaldo is on the decline. I don't think that's really an arguable point. However, he's declining from a very high starting point, right? So he obviously still has a role to play in the team, and he obviously still can be used, whether it's an impact player starting every other game. He's probably going to turn up in the Champions League like he always does. So he's still got a role to play in the team. But if anyone follows you on Twitter, Flex, it was an absolute madness as soon as you bring up his name. It's like everyone just jumps on it, and you're not allowed to say one negative thing about him. Just because I didn't think he was good enough yesterday doesn't mean I don't think he's the greatest player of all time. Like, those two things are separate, right? And you have to be able to separate them in your head. And yeah, there's my 2 cents.
Just quickly, Sean, good point here. Sean says that's not entirely accurate. People are saying he's the problem, not that it's just bad form. And I think that's what this comes into. Me personally, and maybe I just haven't seen a lot of it, I haven't seen too many people saying the reason why Man United are crap is because of him. I'm not really seeing people saying that. What I'm seeing is people saying, tell you what, CR7's, that's a bit of an issue, that not holding up the ball, not bringing people into play, going down too easily. Attitude looks a little bit and hands up. That's fine. You can deal with that when you're at the top level. You're a GOAT. Your standards used to being high, but then it's like, and then you're not scoring goals as well. I think it's I think whoever occupies a position within the team, that's it. You're in the game of you can be criticized, you can be praised, you can be assessed because you're in the team. It's as simple as that. If Rashford was putting in them type of performances, or if Marcel was still here playing up front, non-existent, not winning fouls, it wouldn't. Those guys would be hounded out, and so would Cavani. Same thing as well. Again, it doesn't. My thing is that you can't rub out everything that he's done for the club. Never. It's set in stone. You look in the trophy cabinet, you walk down the Munich tunnel where we've got loads of accolades there, and you go and see what Ronaldo's done, his first ever Ballon d'Or in his career. It's all there. It's never going to get taken away from him, ever. And it can't. The same like with Oli, when Oli was here. Like, everything Oli had done before as a player, it's all there. So anyone trying to add that into a defense mechanism for how he's playing now, that's me. I'm just like, I don't really understand that. For me, I'm saying, okay, that's why I said what I said yesterday. I'm like, it takes patience. You want to assess it properly, and you want to see, okay, I don't want to jump on, a trend or the GOAT or whatever, but let me just assess with my eyes. Is he affecting the game? And I have to say, the games where Ronaldo's played bad, and this is going to sound crazy, the games where Ronaldo's played bad, I've looked at the opposite team's striker in each of those games, and that includes Wout Weghorst, by the way, and said, that's the way that a striker should be impacting their team. So, of course, again, this is the internet, guys, so context is very key here. Am I saying that Wout Weghorst is better than Ronaldo? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is the way he impacted his team, and the same with Armando Broja yesterday, the way he impacted his team, strong, powerful, holding up the ball. When Raul Jimenez came with Wolves, he affected the way the team played, the build-up play. But I'm willing to waive those things when Ronaldo can score, because it's like, Ronaldo might not be involved in the game, but he's at least going to bag X, Y, Z. And now we're not getting that. So it shines a little bit of a light in that area. That's all we're saying. I think the slander of it's all gone wrong because of him is too strong. But I also think, no, it's fine. People are quick to forget. Look what he's done for this club. Well, actually, he has done a lot for the club, but we're talking about now in this moment. And also, I'm not saying he shouldn't be playing, because it's a very valid argument in terms of what's the solution. You've got a Cavani, which, let's face it, if we're being truly honest, it looks like he's either playing when he wants to play, or we just can't keep him fit. Radnick even said afterwards, I don't really know what happened there. He trained yesterday, and then the doctor just came in to see me. He said he's not available. It's a joke, really, with that situation. So there's no one else to play. Rashford, we know up front, that's not an option. There's no Martial. So it's about managing it, but it's just about also just highlighting it and saying, yeah, we do need to keep playing him. We've got to find a way, but he's not playing very well, is he? You can say that about the GOAT. Why not?
Yeah, you can, absolutely you can. And I feel like there's a lot of maybe, what do you call it, whataboutism going on when it comes to the discussion as well. When you say yesterday, you look at the game, you go, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't play very well yesterday. And you can say when he came on against Burnley, he didn't play very well yesterday in the week. And then you get the response of, yeah, but what about Harry Maguire? What about Scott McTominay?
Yeah.
What about so?
Yeah, we'll get there. We've been saying them for 3 years.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, I'm not saying that they played well either. They're not mutually exclusive. Hardly anyone. You can, if you're going to judge the whole 90 minutes, not because we didn't win the game. So in patches, we played well, but that was the same with everyone. You're allowed to look at the game and say, irrespective of who you are, they didn't play well. And that doesn't exclude someone else that also didn't play well in that game. It's just, if you're having the discussion about Cristiano Ronaldo, did he play well yesterday? Has he been playing well recently? Is he scoring goals? The answer is no. The answer is no. If you want to talk about Harry Maguire, you can say, is Harry Maguire playing well recently? The answer will be no. They don't cancel each other out. And I think there's a lot of finger pointing, and everyone just assumes that there is one reason that this isn't working. There has to be one reason why this isn't working. And go, no, there are multiple reasons. There are multiple points of failure here. It isn't one person, and it isn't just one thing. There's so many failures at the club. And just by saying Cristiano Ronaldo isn't playing well doesn't exclude everyone else. And I feel like that was, from what I saw yesterday, was a big thing on social media. It's just, if you say, I don't think Ronaldo's playing very well, and then people go, yeah, but Maguire's not playing well, or so-and-so's not playing well. It's like, well, that doesn't exclude it. And then you get the discussion of, well, like it says on the screen there from Rotem, maybe he's not getting any service.
What do you think? Okay. What do you think? Because at the beginning, that seemed to be a thing. Whoever plays up front for Man United don't get chances. But actually, we're saying the reason why we haven't been winning games in the last few weeks is because we're not taking chances.
We're not taking
chances.
Yeah, exactly. We're not creating chances. I would also say, and I mentioned it during the match for yesterday, that given his age and his attributes and where he is right now, I don't want to see him coming so deep and chasing the play or chasing the ball. If you're a centre forward and you're 37 years old, play between the centre backs. And then if you don't get any service, you can say, I wasn't getting any service. But if you're chasing the ball down in centre midfield, if sometimes at one point yesterday, he was in like the right back position. And I thought, all right, if we get counter-attack here, he's not making it up the pitch. I don't care if he's Cristiano Ronaldo, he's not. And then you can't then complain, well, I'm not getting any service. It's like, well, you're not staying in position the whole game. I get it. It's frustrating. How frustrating must it be to be a Manchester United striker at points this season? Don't get me wrong. And again, that's the point. It's like, we're not saying that's not a thing. It is. It's just saying he's not playing well at the moment. And he's not the only person as well. But I don't know. Like I said, you do get this impression that maybe you're not allowed to criticize him. And maybe he's earned that part of defense from the fan base. But it's also a case of nobody's immune to criticism. Nobody.
Yeah. I'll get these super chats out and I'll come to Cam and Marcel, get their thoughts. Nate H says, what did Jose say? There's a lot of poets in football. Who cares if you play fluid football if you don't score? You want to play good football and win, 100%. And Killen says, I'd love to see our players get better field awareness. Football is about what you do with the ball and how you move without it, 100%. We keep getting caught. I mean, Ralph Hasenhutl's damning dissection of what they did to us just tells us everything we need to know. If you've got an opposition manager stating it like that, it's actually quite embarrassing. Well, everyone knows that they can't run back. That's what he said. Everyone knows they can't come back. So at halftime, I said, don't panic. In the transitions, we'll beat that first line of press. Then they won't run back. We'll get acres. And that's exactly what happened for their goal as well. Jordan says, tell me who we realistically can get instead as striker, says Jordan Amor. 100%. Right now at Manchester United, there's no solution, really. Unless you try and go 4-4-2 and play someone up with Ronaldo and leave yourself with two in the middle, Pogba and someone else. You can't play Pogba and Bruno, which are two men in midfield. So where does Bruno go? That is instant problems. Cam, let me just make sure. Ronaldo is in the chat. Ronaldo says, sorry, lads, I'm too old. Time for me to hang up my boots. Whether you think that's the real Ronaldo or not, I'll leave that to you. And YUFC says the fans are to blame. We allow the Glazers to manipulate us. The Glazers invested all their energy on PR. We as fans eat it up. We are easily gassed, says YUFC. Cam, from a tactical point of view, how much of Ronaldo, and this is the last couple, you two are going to have the last say on this before we move on, because like I said, I don't want it to be the whole Ronaldo show. But this is just a Ronaldo segment. How much of what Ronaldo's doing is impacting us negatively tactically, and how much of it is the team setup, shape, and stuff for you?
I mean, if you split it into what he does on the ball and what he does when we don't have the ball, both sides, it's not good enough. When we don't have the ball, he doesn't press properly, doesn't drop back in quickly enough, so it doesn't help our defensive shape. And when we have got the ball, he's just doing the wrong things constantly. I think if you look back at his career as well, when he's played well as a striker, he's always had someone else alongside him, whether it's Benzema, whoever else it is. He had someone else to do the hard yards so that he gets a bit more space. When he's not got that, he's not the sort of player that can create himself that much space on the ball. And when he keeps coming deep to link the play, it's a problem that we've seen, and you guys have mentioned it already. We're left with no one up top. There's one less target in front of the ball for players to hit, which makes it difficult when we can't really play from defence to attack anyway. So I think in a lot of ways, he's making the whole team a lot worse. And I'm not saying he's the only problem or he is the big problem, but he is a problem. I think under Ole, you could look at it and say there's enough sort of chaos going on. There's enough randomness going on in games that Ronaldo he'll come up with something. Someone will come up with something. And Ronaldo's probably the guy to come up with it. Now there's an actual system. He's been asked to do specific things. He can't do it. And the problem we've got now is we've got a 37-year-old Ronaldo who's got no legs left, can't really run in behind, not really quick enough to outpace defenders. He's getting frustrated every 5 minutes. You can see him. He gets frustrated and tries to go and press someone, gets there 5 seconds after the ball's gone. You can see he'll have a shot from a stupid angle that he's never, ever going to score from. You know what's going on. It's difficult to watch at times because we're relying on him and Cavani, who, as you said, he can't be bothered. Realistically, is he actually injured? Or did he just want the weekend off? It could be either. And I mean, yeah, maybe he's got an injury, but we're relying on those two now as our strikers for the rest of the season. And it's getting to the point. I never thought I'd say this, but it's getting to the point where I actually want to see Marcus Rashford play through the middle.
Oh, really?
I'm assuming that's not what you thought was coming, DJ.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Mike says, let's keep it simple. Shit ballers make a shit team, says Mike Cass. Cam, you are spot on. That's my point. Not scoring goals, says Micah's. Just before we get to Marcel, explain that bit about Rashford, why you think that would be better.
Well, for me, I think we need from a striker, we need someone who's going to stay up top, not going to keep dropping deep to link play because that makes it worse. That means Bruno and Pogba have got no one to hit in front of them, makes their job harder. We need someone who's prepared to stay up top and run in behind. And Rashford does that. I think at the moment, when he's been playing on the wing, and he was, let's be honest, he was horrific yesterday. Really, really bad. I was watching the game with my housemates, and in the second half, every single time he picked up the ball, I was able to tell my housemates who don't watch United that much exactly what the outcome of that play was going to be. Whether it's him running into a crowd of players and losing the ball, whether it's him running into 3 players, shooting straight at the first one, getting blocked, or whether it's him taking that cross that he does from the left side with his technique, and it always hits the first man every single time. It's frustrating. And when he's playing on the wing, you open yourself up to that. He gets the ball quite a lot. If he's playing as a striker, he's going to have far fewer touches of the ball per game. All he does is run in behind. So you're reducing the damage he does and reducing the damage Ronaldo does. So it's not me saying, you know what, Marcus Rashford's going to score us 40 goals and win us every competition. This is the least worst option at this point. So
okay,
I think
you know, a lot of people are onto you saying you did so well, and then you said Rashford up front. Someone said
it's the least worst option, I think now.
Yeah, someone was saying you were smoking an illegal substance. But then someone said, you know what, he's not good there, and it's crap, but may as well try. So look, there you go. There's an interesting thought there. Marcel, how do you see it? I know you're passionate. I know you're calculated and calm with your analysis of stuff. How do you see it with the Ronaldo situation? And you're the last person on this.
I think everyone spoke very well on it, to be honest with you, and I agree with everyone's points. I also agree with Cam saying that I think the best option right now is definitely Rashford at the moment. But let's just think about it. I mean, did Ole really want Ronaldo in the club? I don't think so. I don't think that was his primary target in the summer. And that's like a microcosm of the fact that we've been so reactionary. We haven't been a proactive club. We haven't been proactive with Sancho. For, this January window, we haven't been proactive. Getting a new manager into the club, we haven't been proactive. And it's just showing in many different forms that we are not proactive. Ronaldo as a whole, though, he's just not been good enough. He honestly just hasn't been good enough. And that's the one thing that we brought him in the team for, goals. We wanted goals. Last season we had a lot of pace in the team, and that pace has been taken out now that Ronaldo's come in. You had the Martial, Rashford, you had Greenwood in there, and you're thinking the forward line's got pace in the team. That's where our goals were coming from. We were a strong counter-attacking based team. Now, I don't think Oli was out of his depth. He can't play forward protagonist, front forward football. But now Ronaldo's coming and he wants to play that style. He's not got the pace to get in behind. He's not got and he doesn't stay up front. It's so annoying. He has to stay up front and be a focal point striker for us. Just work within the box. Ruud van Nistelrooy was brilliant at that. You get it? Just work within the box. That's all you have to do. Right now, we've been giving him chances, Flex. We've been giving him plenty chances. I think he's on 14 or 15 all comps. He should be on 20 plus by now, 22 plus. So I feel like he's out of his depth, to be honest with you. He's taken a bit too much. The Premier League's relentless. It's every 3 days a game, pressing the top teams. That's what they're asking their forward line to do now. I think he's a little bit out of his depth. He's a bit too old for the job. And then you've got another older striker in Cavani. They were asking a lot of them. And you just see Bruno running around everywhere. Rashford, something that we used to be able to get out of Rashford was 100% commitment and pressing. He wouldn't give us the goals in high quantities, but he would give us that running effort and that desire. And we're not seeing that from him now. So we're just a broken team. And I hate so much, Flex, the attitude from Ronaldo, not coming to clap fans. People paying good money to come and watch the best player in the world at a time anyway. And the attitude is just horrible. The sulking, the complaining about decisions. It's not a Premier League striker that we would want in our club. And that's the best I could say on it, to be honest with you.
Nate H says, how about Donny van de Beek, guys? Not physical enough for the Premier League, LOL. Yeah, we'll get there. We haven't even got there yet. Ronaldo says, have you noticed that I'm not able to hold the ball, go one-on-one with any Premier League defender, and I no longer know where the target is? We have noticed that, Ronaldo. We have.
One thing I will say, Flex, sorry, just to jump in 2 seconds before we go into the different topic. If we're playing Brighton on Tuesday, if he plays against Brighton and say he scores 2 goals, do we think this argument goes away? Because I do think, you would be able, I guarantee you'd see people on social media, he scores against Brighton, they'd be like, never doubted him, never doubted Ronaldo,
100%,
silence the haters, all that kind of stuff. And that's also, I think, a good thing to just like almost bear in mind is that like, not are we being reactionary? Because I don't think we are. I think we're being very critical and actually being fair and looking at things in context. But I don't know if the idea that maybe he's played badly all season is fair, because you look at what he's done in the Champions League and what he's done, at early stages of the season. I do think this is a relatively last 5 or 6 games he's been really off it. I mean, people have been making some of these arguments about him, to be fair, since the beginning of the season. But I don't know. It's a really fascinating one, I think.
I think that's a good question, and I think what you got to think of, right, is the entirety since he's been here. You look at the tick boxes, yeah. So you say, okay, Ronaldo's arrived at the club. It's now February. Is he a top scorer? Yeah. Are you still in the Champions League? Yeah. How? Because of him. Like there are key things where I think when we're talking about this, and this could, if someone's watching this, they could say, "Oh, so you're just basically undermining everything you just said." No, we're not saying that.
No.
But I think it is important to remember. I think everything we've said is valid, but I don't think not one person here has said that he's never going to score again. Like he's
exactly.
Like do you know what I mean? Like I know Cam and Marcel are basically saying play Rashford over him right now to see what that does. But listen, Ronaldo, like you said, he start again on Tuesday night. Could score. He's been getting the chances to score. He's actually missing. Like that's the difference.
It's not to say he doesn't have a part to play. It's not essentially. It's not, from my perspective, personally, it's not a case of he doesn't have a part to play, because he is still Cristiano Ronaldo, and if he does hit a bit of form, he could go the next 5 or 6 games scoring goals, because he's got it in his locker.
But he'll do it in that way. He'll do it in the way of how he was doing it before, which was actually Ronaldo's never been fully involved in the games, linking the play, winning fouls.
For years now.
He plays in moments. Exactly, he plays in moments for years. And even we knew that was the Ronaldo we were getting. And even though he's our top scorer, almost all the chances, like when he won the game for us against Villarreal and got a draw against Atalanta with that volley, that half volley at the end of the game, it was just bang out of nowhere. Like we was literally going, where did that come from? Because that's what he's capable of in the moments. And then when those moments leave you, But I'm like, there are a few times I have to say, it's like I've seen the way that he gets brushed off the ball sometimes, and sometimes I look and go, damn man, I don't even really want to see you go out like that. Like, you know, like there was one time Pogba fizzed it, nice little fade on it, and he's chested it down. Salus just on him. I love that. Like, just take, like, do you know what I mean? But then I'm seeing Broja, although he's up against Harry Maguire, which we'll get onto, just kind of, you know, Che Adams running in behind. Like, I'm seeing other strikers just have more of an impact, and it's almost like he's just not cut out for that side of the game anymore. We need to get him confident again, so that the only thing he has to do is score. But in the meantime, my thing is, don't be afraid to, you know, look at any player's individual performances over a good sample size. Not 1 game, not 2 games, not 3 games, a good sample size. And I think it's fair to judge, you know, his performances of late and give the overall score of haven't been good enough. And it's an issue. Up front's an issue for Man United. It's not being solved by Ronaldo. It's not being solved by Cavani. I don't think it'll get solved by Rashford, but they're saying try him. Fair enough. And Martial's gone. Like, you can talk about Ronaldo. Just stop with this whole, like, shooting
it's
people
so
down.
Extreme side.
It's
you know
not
what I mean?
extreme.
I think
like, he's just a player. He's a player in our whole squad like anyone else is. If you hold him,
that's the point.
yeah, I think the real issue is if you hold him too high that he's immune from criticism, that goes against just being a fan and just a democracy. Like, you can't say that.
Or like, you know, if you
Samuel Luckhurst tweet. Hold on, let me see what's going on.
I just saw that. I haven't really seen. I just on his page. I can't see anything about that. But I think that again, if you criticize Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't think it necessarily means you don't want him to play, or you're saying he's got no part to play this season. He will still score goals. It's not as if he's never going to score goals again. I think again, it's worth pointing out. There's no. And that's the thing, is that if he doesn't play well, people are like, so you're saying he should never play again? No, I'm not saying that. Or you're saying, we should get rid of him tomorrow? No, I'm not saying that. You said he's not got a part to play next season. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who's got a part to play next season? But you can't just say he's not playing well at the moment. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and we would praise him. I think we would praise him if he's scoring the goals as well. Like, the next game, if he scores, I would be the first person to say he's had a brilliant performance, or he's done what we brought him in to do. We're paying all that money because he has a simple, world-class, brilliant attribute, which is scoring goals. So I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why people would think that means that they're going all the way to the extreme, to be honest with you guys, thinking that he's, you know, we're saying he's this or he's that, and it's just wrong.
K-Flo says, guys, we've had this problem since Jose. Zlatan missed chances. Lukaku was called all sorts. Then Tony, now it's Ronnie. Bottom line is our quality of chances are poor. Manager after manager. Moments FC. Fair point with that. And super chat here from Ronald Jacob. He says, I'm back to criticize Maguire because I have had enough of him. I've seen so many clips of him again today to see any good in him. And trust me, I believe that Mengi and Jones is better than him. We are going to move on to that. And Richie says, Ronaldo does look out of his depth and he provides nothing out of possession as well as very little in possession. We are walking on eggshells 100%, exactly. We shouldn't be walking on eggshells. Just call a spade a spade. If he's playing shit, say he's playing shit. Simple as that. Louis says, the fact you guys are using Ronaldo as a scapegoat is really sad. Pissing about him not clapping. Shake my head. Before we get to Ronaldo, let's start from the back, then middle. They're shit, man. Forget Ronaldo. Louis,
dude, exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah,
I appreciate the contribution, Louis. I do, and everyone's allowed to have their opinion. But that is literally my point that I was saying earlier. If you criticize Ronaldo, it's not a mute. We're going to talk about Harry Maguire now. It's not saying Harry Maguire is playing well. He's not. It's not saying Scott McTominay is the best defensive midfielder we've got. Well, it probably is. It's probably the problem. But we don't need another one. It's not that. It's just. We'll move on. Yeah.
Ronald Jacob says the situation is so bad at Ronaldo that we've made Cristiano Ronaldo into Timo Ronaldo. He is missing simple goals because he is getting frustrated with balls not getting delivered by fullbacks. Good. Big up to everyone's views and comments. It's a really lively community right now. Everyone's having their say. We've got nearly 1,500 people watching as well, which is dope. So if you haven't smashed a like on the video, you just come through. Make sure you do that and subscribe. I think we can hit 96k while we're live, actually. I don't see any reason why we can't.
Why not?
95k.9. There's no reason why we can't hit 96k. So let's do that while we're live. That'll be a nice achievement. Let's talk about the captain. let's talk about the captain, or as DJ says on Twitter, DJ said he's no captain of mine on Twitter. But seriously, I mean, is it a case of, Cam, I'll start with you, like, he's just not good enough for the level? Like, forget calling him names, forget being angry at him, like, he's just not good enough for the level. Is it a case of that?
I think it's time to just admit that whoever scouted him has made a big mistake. I think he had too many glaring flaws before we signed him. And I think if you're going to sign a player with a lot of weaknesses, you've got to have a team that's built around it to cover them. And we haven't. If you're going to sign a centre-back that's got no pace, that's played in the back three before, you've got to either have a plan to play him in the back three, or a plan where someone in front of him is covering a lot of space. So you've got a really mobile defensive mid in front of them, haven't got one of those, or you've got to have a keeper behind him that sweeps really well, covers the space. The head doesn't come off his line. So I think whoever scouted Harry Maguire, yeah, he might have been a decent centre-back at the time, might have been a good option at the time, but if you look at his profile, he doesn't fit the team. And that's the problem we've got. I think you could say the same about Ronaldo, really, as a striker. He's, a fantastic player, but is his profile what we needed? Is that what Ollie wanted at the time? Probably not. And that's the problem that we've got. And if you look at certain other squads in the Premier League, Everton this season, they're doing horrendously badly. Obviously, good game for Donny yesterday, but they're doing really badly because they've just signed a load of random players that don't fit together. And at United, I think we've got a problem a bit like that. Not as bad, but a similar problem of we just sign random players that are quite good but don't really fit together. There doesn't seem to be any plan at all. We talked about how Raphael Varane coming in would help Harry Maguire because obviously Varane's a lot quicker than Lindelof or whoever else we got. And yes, it has helped a little bit. But the problem is opposition teams have figured out that Harry Maguire is actually not as good in the air as we all thought he was, which was the main thing he was there to do. I mean, we saw against Burnley. If you could pick when we signed Harry Maguire, one game a season or 2 games a season that he should be good at, it's against Burnley. You know exactly what you're going to get. That's what we signed him for. Good in the air, dominate a big striker, and hopefully score some goals for us from set pieces, which I haven't seen any of that. Really.
Let's not talk about set pieces.
Yeah. But no, the more I watch him, the more I'm just like, at some point, you've just got to give up. You've just got to accept that he's not what you want. Just put him on the bench, bring Lindelof in, and just be done with it. I think the more it's not even fair on the lad to keep playing him when he's like this. He's Man United captain, but as a player, as a person, there's no way he can be taking this well. Like, he's going to be going home and sort of not having a good time. Like,
yeah, as a human being, exactly. It must be awful if he picks up his phone and looks at Twitter or looks in the papers or listens to the radio. You know, it must be horrible. And I'm not saying that his performances haven't deserved the level of criticism, but obviously you get people who go overboard and start calling him names and stuff like that. But you're right, Cam, he's still a human being. Yeah,
exactly. As a human being, just respect him. Just give him a couple of weeks out the firing line. And maybe if someone else gets injured, bring him back in. But just give him a bit of time out of the team because he's not playing well at all. And it just doesn't suit the team at the minute.
Alan Thomas says, what, no KG and loving the beard highlights flex. Yeah, this is a new L'Oreal range. You can buy the grey off the shelves and spray it in, give you little highlights there. So there you go. Yeah, I've got, do you know what, for so young, I am young, my greys just came really quick. I just embraced them. If Denzel Washington can do it, if Idris Elba can do it, no one says anything to them. You know, it's only when I do it. I love it. Just embrace it. But thank you, Alan. And loving the content as best Man United content, bar none. Big up, Alan George. Appreciate that, man. And Ronald Jacobs says, I support Uncle KG. You all say, here we go. You all say Dalot is better than Wan-Bissaka. How many assists does Dalot have? At least Wan-Bissaka does his defensive work better, does he? Dalot leaves right back open. And be honest, can he pocket Neymar? So basically, Ronald's saying,
I think that's KG on his other account, guys.
It's KG on the burner, 100%. Or 100%. KG has sent Ronald 200. I'm not sure what currency that is, but he sent him that and said, "I'll tell you what, send this in. It's copy and paste." That's what he's done. But big up to you, Ronald. Appreciate that, bro. Cantona says, Ollie was literally waving his panties at Ronaldo in the press conference before he signed. Club scouting is atrocious. And Chief says, would you guys sell Rashford and who would you want to replace in the starting 11 for next season? We'll get to that one. Hold that thought. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And Richie, thank you for the contribution. Didn't actually say anything, but just the contribution. So I appreciate that. James, you know, when I was wrapping up, I was walking around to the front of the stadium where I do my match reaction. And you know who walked past me while I was talking to someone? Brian Robson. Yeah. And he stopped and chatted for a couple of minutes, and I was like, "Robbo, man, we just can't get it done. I wanted to say a lot of other stuff, but you don't want to be rude and put him on the spot. Yeah, he was getting chaperoned by someone. You don't want to say, "Poor mate, you're what a proper captain is. What's going on? What do you think of it?" You know, you're not going to do that. But I just looked, and as I was talking to him, I just looked at him and just thought, this is a United captain, a proper United captain. It just had me thinking. Obviously, we've had loads of good captains, but how do you see it? Is it like what Cam says? Take him out the firing line now. Is it time? Lindelof in. I mean, surely can't persist in. And how do you see that versus the club saying, "Listen, this is our £80 million investment." And also, does it send more shockwaves and create more unrest if the captaincy gets stripped? And I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying, does it?
Quite a few questions. I think it probably causes unrest if you strip the captain. It depends how many people are close to him in the dressing room, how many people are going to have his back. But in general, it would cause unrest. On the Robbo thing, every time anyone mentions Maguire to me, he's the first person I think of. He's like the link in my head that I go to, because I go Maguire, captain, United, Robbo. Right. And I just think like nowhere near. Brian Robson's arguably United's greatest ever captain. He's United's longest serving captain of 12 years. And he epitomises what it is to be a captain of Manchester United. He never shirked away from anything. He drove his team forward. He was passionate, but he also had loads of quality. So let's not just get tied up in the fact that it's all about passion and stuff. He had quality as well in spades. Maguire just doesn't seem to have that. Like Cam said, whoever was doing the scouting is poor. If you look at all Maguire's good performances consistently, he was good in the Euros when you've got Pickford behind who sweeps up, and you've also got Rice and Calvert-Lewin in front who protect and sit deep, so he doesn't have to cover a lot of space. Maguire also looked good or fairly decent.
Carl Walker there as well, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carl Walker's everywhere.
He was mopping up for Stones and Maguire all tournament, mate.
Honestly, he's everywhere, Kyle Walker. It's like ridiculous pace.
Yeah.
But and then when he's played for United, he was decent when Henderson was in the team as well, because Henderson sweeps up. So it's not me saying he's an awful player, right? I think people saying he's an awful player, it's like you have to play devil's advocate a bit. He's had good performances, but he doesn't suit the system we play. He's not good enough to be in our starting 11 at the moment. He's certainly not good enough to be captain of this great football club at the moment. And that's my biggest unrest with it, that when you look at Manchester United and you think, right, who's your captain? Who's your leader? Who's the person that's going to just rally all the troops and lead us into battle and lead us into the fight? And it's Harry Maguire. And it's like, I don't like the fact he's captain. I was on a video a while ago and we were chatting with some guys and they were saying basically that the role of the captain has changed, right? Like it's not, like he needs to be going around rallying everyone on the pitch and stuff. But then MUTV come out with interviews with Maguire and then he says, I'm the one that's going and speaking to the players and I'm
the role ain't changed at Man United, mate. That role will always be what it is. I don't know about other clubs, but the captain needs to be the person who is putting in minimum 8 out of 10s every game. And if you're not, you find a way. If you're not, you're rallying. If you're not, you're trying. And you're not, and you've got a level of ability as well. You've got to be a top player.
You have to, mate. And also there's a lot of influence as well, because if you think about United's history of bringing youth players through, like what is it, 3,000 and something games that we've had an academy product in the squad, it's like the captain is going to have a big role in bringing them into the team, putting an arm around them, like developing them, giving them the confidence, showing them how to deal with stuff. And I just don't see that. I don't see him as a great role model, to be honest. I don't see him as someone that speaks massively positively about the club. I see him as someone that makes excuses almost all the time. I told you, we did a fan cam after the Newcastle game, right? And we'd not played in 2 weeks, and Carrington was closed for 4 days because of Corona and all that. And he came out and used that as an excuse. And obviously we did the piece on Munich recently, but I'm 13 days after half our squad died, we went and we beat Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup. You've had Carrington closed for 4 days and you're giving an excuse as to why you can't beat Newcastle, who were bottom of the league at the time. Standards, mate, don't exist. And I have a massive problem with him as Manchester United captain. In terms of taking him out the firing line, 100% agree. I mentioned on the match view, on the roundup yesterday, that Ralph has done it with other players. Rashford got booed off against Wolves. He didn't play the next game. And then Elanga missed the penalty against Middlesbrough, didn't play the next game. So he has taken players out of the spotlight. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to take Maguire out the spotlight for a bit, because he must be getting grief everywhere he looks at the moment. And like you said, he's a human being. It's not fair on him. And I've probably added to the grief just now, but I don't want to slate him, but I just don't see him as a captain or a leader of Manchester United.
Cantona92 says, been watching since Steve Bruce days. I honestly think Maguire is the worst starting centre-back since then.
Ooh.
Not an upgrade on Smaldini. Listen, people said yesterday, and I've questioned this a little while ago. I was like, Johnny Evans is like clear. Like I said, John O'Shea as
John O'Shea as well.
I think, and then KG laughed at me one time. Was I saying that over one?
Yeah, it was John O'Shea.
Could have been.
Yeah, it was over Wan-Bissaka.
It might have been over Wan-Bissaka, but even as a centre half, people like Wes Brown. Wes Brown was
Wes Brown's levels, mate. Levels.
Defender. Like, he's not a fashionable name, yeah? People won't think. But when you know your ball, these guys are proper defenders. DJ, with the Marcel situation, with the Maguire situation. With the Marcel situation, he's always telling me we're going to win games and we never do. Do you think we should stop having him on? What's your thoughts on it? Like, can he play his way out of this? Is there any way back? Because as football fans, we are not reactionary, but we are emotional. We do want change now. Is there any way that you just keep persisting in the hope that he will nod one in and get some confidence and start playing okay? Because in his defense, and this is me just giving the other side of the coin to open up the conversation, there was a time last season where he got injured near the back end of the season. He was struggling. We were like, actually, Harry Maguire not in there, and Lindelof and Bailly look shaky as hell. We got to the Europa League final. We were like, oh, mate, need Maguire. So I'm not saying, he's amazing in this. I'm just giving the other side of the argument. Is that a thing for you or not?
Nah. I think, nah. I'll be honest, guys. Flex, we always talk about sort of like sample size. I've watched Maguire a lot, and even kind of how he handles things in the media as well. There's the infamous him scoring. Can't remember the team, but he scored, and then they said, "Oh, was your celebration sort of at the people that's been criticizing you?" And he's like, "Oh, no."
Albania.
That day,
Albania.
That's it. When I saw him do that, I was like, "Where is your spine? Where is your spine?" I would have rather him come out that day and said, "Well, yeah, it is because I've been getting stick, and that was to show people what I can do or whatever." I would have at least respected it, but he literally just bowed down, cowered out from that. So I lost a lot of respect from him then. And it's not on a personal attack on him. This is all football based, yeah. And from what I see, he just has glaring holes in his game where now our opposition clearly know, and our opposition are exploiting that. So when our opposition are continuously exploiting that, we have to do something about it. Like Ralph, I give Ralph credit in terms of you want to get behind your players when they're having a bad patch. You want to kind of maybe instill a bit of confidence. You want to put your arm around them, but the time has come for him to be dropped. Because if this was any other player, if it was, and I'm going to say it, Owen, Donny van der Beek that was having terrible performances, Ralph would have come on the pitch and took van der Beek off himself. Yeah. So if we're gonna be keeping sort of the standards in terms of we need our players to be performing every game, Maguire is the latest casualty of that. He does need to be on the bench. I'm not saying I think selling him is very unlikely. I mean, I would sell him. I think most of us would sell him if the money came in, but it's unlikely. So the only other alternative is for him to eat bench and slowly play his way back into some form and try and show us what he can do. But for me, as a captain, he is no captain of mine. None. No.
Owen, is that the deciding factor of that Man United have outlaid a massive investment on him of what is an investment, but it's not an investment. You're throwing your money down the drain. So that's what I was going to say. But that's how they see it, though. He belongs to Man United. Is a huge fee.
Yeah, if your methodology is, well, I've got to play him because I've got to get return on investment, the investment's gone. Like you're not going to get it. The idea of 80 million plus wages and you're hoping that's going to pay dividends, it's not, and it hasn't. And I think you have to just accept that, take it for what it is. It's a lost leader. You know, whether that's selling him for reduced amount of money. We're not going to make 8 million on Harry Maguire. We never were anyway. We never were anyway because we signed him when he was 27, something like that. So we were never going to make that money back anyway. But we're certainly not now. It's not in my opinion, a valid reason to play him if he's not playing well. As mentioned earlier, nobody's above criticism. Nobody's above being dropped. I mentioned it yesterday on the match reaction. If I was Ralph Rangnick, I would just phrase it to him as, look, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of scrutiny on you at the moment. We saw social media, particularly after the Burnley game in the week. Maybe you just need a couple of games out. When you had a couple of games out, when you were injured, you came back in against West Ham, you were okay. So maybe you just need a couple of games out. We've got other options, and then we'll sort of wait till it dies down.
So basically, lie. Lie.
Well, yeah, but there's no element of truth in that Flex. There's no element of truth in that because you're saying, I want to take you out of the spotlight and you just say you're not playing well. And it's not as if he's walking around, you would think, going, yeah, I'm playing really well. Surely he can't be that naive, right?
But then, like, after the third game, fourth game, you go knocking on the doors, like, oh, Gaffer, like you said, a couple of games, thanks for that, Gaffer. Like, heads back, man.
Yeah.
When am I back?
And then Flex, and then you say, look, Victor's been playing with Raphael. They've been playing well. We haven't been conceding. You know, I don't like to change my team. That's the situation. Again, just because you're the captain, nobody at the club, regardless of armband, regardless of wage, regardless of value, regardless of whatever you've done, nobody has a divine right to play, right? Yeah. That's just how it works. And it's the same with Harry Maguire. And the problem is as well, is when you're the captain, it's not necessarily the best player that's the captain. It doesn't work like that. But it's someone that is either a leader in terms of the dressing room, in terms of getting you around players, or it's a leader who plays by example on the pitch. And unfortunately, he's just neither at the moment. He's neither one of those things. He doesn't come across as a leader in terms of, like, you know, when you see him before the games and he's talking to some of the players, you know, when a couple of times you saw him talking to Ronaldo, and you just feel like that's just an odd picture. That's an odd picture because how does that sort of dynamic work? They said it about, like, David. I look at it as similar things to, you know, when David Moyes came in and Rio Ferdinand said, like, it was very difficult to listen to what he said because how can you tell this group of players that's won so much how to win things when you yourself haven't won anything? It doesn't really compute. And it's kind of the same when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, isn't it? Of like, if Harry Maguire's going, like, Cristiano, you've got to be up for this one. We really need you today. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, and who are you to tell me that? It's a difficult dynamic, I think. And it's because I somewhat sympathise for him. I do, because one, I don't think he's just necessarily up to the standard of being a Manchester United, certainly captain, maybe player, plus being the captain, plus the valuation. It's just too much for him, I think. And I think it's, again, the best thing for Ralph to do is just to take him out of the spotlight. And then if the idea is that he's getting some pressure from above, the idea of, well, he's 80 million and he's the captain, he's got to play, I don't think that's a valid excuse. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I don't think that's a valid excuse to play.
K-Flow says, guys, I know Convo has moved on. I'd love this for the next show. Cam, I need you to analyse our attack pattern of play. How many shots have we had in the box over 3 years? Extend far as Jose. Well, hold your popcorn, guys, because we've got some stuff coming up. Yeah. I'm not going to say too much, but we've got some stuff coming up, and Cam's going to be heavily involved in that side of things. So watch this space. Mr. Unapologetic says, Fletch, do you ever think the reason Fletcher is on the bench is to ensure certain players are picked? I mean, I can see the theory behind it because, you know, there's a constant there, and it baffles how some players are getting picked. So something's up, but I couldn't tell you, if I'm honest. Ronald Jacob says, I am being honest. Players who show love for the club and talk about giving 100% are the ones who aren't wanted by anyone, like Maguire, Fred, McSauce. Sad is Mata and Matic can still be sold. And Cantona 92 says, playing Maguire is a great example of the sunk cost fallacy. Better to cut our losses, move on by Koundé. And another super chat here from Richie Rutledge. Richie Rutledge says, is Cam familiar with Cody? I don't know, Gakpo? Is that an actual player? Yeah, I don't know. From PSV or Nkunku? I do know Nkunku, yeah, Cam as well. They're asking you. Both could provide 10 times more than Rashi. Akanji has been linked with us from Dortmund and is fond from us as well. Maguire belongs at West Ham or Everton. Yeah, that level. Leicester, where he just came from, that kind of level. Yeah. Marcel, what sort of relationship do you think he has with the players? Like, as a guest, this isn't in the know. This is me just asking you what your opinion is. Like, do you think he's respected amongst the group? Do you think no?
So imagine we go 4-0 down. And I was there It was one of the worst games I've seen. 4-0 down at Liverpool, at Old Trafford against Liverpool at half time. The game's finished and he has to speak to the media. I can't remember the interview exactly, but he says something along the lines of he doesn't want to be there and speak to the fans about this poor result. That for me was the moment I realized this man cannot be captain for the club. You have to go and speak to the media after that kind of performance. You have to go and speak to the fans that have come and paid money and seen that kind of capitulate. Oh, it was horrible. That game was horrible to watch. And Liverpool down tools the second half. Yeah. We had to make it like a carnival atmosphere, the fans that were in the ground, because they down tools and they were resting themselves for other more important games. The way he went and go and speak to the media after that game, I knew that nobody trusts him. Ronaldo's been complaining at him, telling him to bring the ball down, come up the pitch and play. All season he's been doing that. No players really trust him. He is not mobile. If you look at our previous defenders in recent time, even they're strong, mobile, and they've got a bit of pace about them. He has none of those things. He cannot control his body. His 1v1 defending, I don't think Cam really mentioned that in particular, but his 1v1 defending is worse. So yes, he's got players to cover him in certain areas, but just him by himself, attacker against him, he just makes wrong decisions time after time. In the dressing room, Flex, I don't know. My guess would be that he maybe has one or two players that kind of trust him, and nobody just wants to listen to him. I've seen, again, PR this season. Our PR has been shocking. Rashford, I've seen moments of Rashford cussing him this season. Videos of Rashford and him having big arguments in the middle of games. So he's not a captain. Someone like Roy Keane, like these kind of captains, they're the ones speaking and cussing and effing and blinding at their players, asking the level to be risen. Every single time after a mistake, I'm seeing him quiet, just sulking, and we have to reset play again. I don't think he's trusted amongst the players. Players that, again, there should be hierarchy and structure at the club. So, a captain should be the main voice of the club. And if from time you're seeing people like Marcus, who haven't been playing well himself, disrespecting or arguing and shouting and cursing at the captain, it just shows that the club is rotten right now. And we need things to change, folks.
Chibak says, what's the reason for Ollie to make him captain? Yeah, that you go back to that and you're just like, I don't know, man. You can't really
I think Bruno should be captain, guys. I don't know what you guys think about that. Or look some faces.
No. Look at Cam's face. Cam, why wouldn't you have him for captaincy?
I think if you got a captain, you're as a manager, you want your captain to be someone that does everything you ask on the pitch, and they stick to your game plan. They trust you 100%. They're the one that sets the tempo. They're the one that makes sure every single player buys into it. Every single game, Bruno messes up a couple of passes. He gets frustrated. He goes off and does his own thing. You can't have that as your example on the pitch. I just don't think it's possible. Yeah, his numbers are fantastic. He plays with a lot of passion. Great. But every single game, whenever he gets frustrated, we saw it yesterday, he started coming deep to the halfway line, playing those balls, 40-yard passes constantly. From about 60 minutes onwards, he would keep coming deep, keep stopping, waiting for someone to make a run, playing a ball 40 yards, centre-back or full-back, heads it back in, Southampton get an attack, and half our team are out of position. Every single time. Now, every single player in that squad and Ralph Rangnick and the coaching staff, they know that's not what they've been asked to do. Ralph Rangnick, he comes out and says it himself. He says, we stick to the game plan for sort of 40, 50 minutes. After that, it's gone. And a massive part of that is individuals getting frustrated, not trusting each other. You can't have that in a captain. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to have someone. For me, I'd rather have McTominay as captain than Bruno. And yeah, McTominay shouldn't be a starter for Man United. He should be a squad player.
You're a brave man. You're a brave man. I admire it. I admire the boldness. I really do.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking.
McTominay he shouldn't be a regular starter for Man United. He should be a bench player. But as a captain, you can trust, as a manager, that he will do everything you ask him to do, and he'll constantly demand more from everyone else, which, in fairness, is more than a lot of the players that are currently out there.
I mean, in the past, you had people like, Darren Fletcher, Jason Park that did that. They shouldn't be Manchester United captain, though, should they?
No, but when they were playing, you had players that were able to give an 8 out of 10 every week and were leaders as well. We don't have that now.
See,
Who would you pick B?
Well, he said Scott McTominay.
Scott, yeah.
Your pick would be Scott McTominay.
Well, over everyone.
If I just said to you, Cam, who should be captain? Pick a captain. There's no way you do Scott McTominay. There's no way. There is no way you do it.
No, I think he was saying just instead of Bruno. Well, what do you
Yeah,
instead
over
of Bruno?
Bruno,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had
So
to
who
pick a
would it be?
captain now, I think the contenders would be obviously De Gea because he's been at the club so long. I think
Varane
Varane's
for
another
me.
one, but I'm not sure he's vocal enough. Maybe Ronaldo, but I don't think there's really one that you could say you trust them 100% to do exactly what the manager wants, and you're happy with their consistency. I don't think there's anyone really that stands out.
But Bruno
that's the
has
problem.
the best relation. Bruno, I feel like, has the best relation with every player, and he gives you that pressing and that he gives you work. Nobody else wants to work.
But he
Bruno
doesn't give
works.
you the 8 out of 10, though,
Intelligently.
does
He
he?
doesn't do the right
No,
thing.
it doesn't give you the 8 out of 10. Yes, James, he doesn't give you the 8 out
No,
of 10.
so
It's in
for
between
me-
5 to 7, but
He goes sometimes 5,
you know,
Or
sometimes
5 to 10.
Guys,
5 to 10.
guys, I wish Herrera was still here. If Herrera was still here, he'd be my captain.
Yeah.
Herrera
But
would
even
be still here,
yeah,
he'd
but
be the
guys,
captain.
come on, what Herrera?
I
has
wish,
now
DJ.
still.
DJ,
Now.
I wish. Let's get over I wish, okay?
I'll take
I wish
Herrera
I was-
right now. As
I wish I was
captain.
12
would.
stone. It's not real, okay? It's not happening. Get over it.
Let me get these super chats out. Alan says fair play to KG as he could sidestep Maguire flex. Oluwasi says great show. I don't know why we keep talking about Harry Maguire. It's the whole team. We are not just scoring enough. Bruno, don't keep the same shape. Keep the team shape. Oluwasi, I don't know if you're just catching this segment of the show, but we were literally talking about other players, and we touched a bit on Rashford, and we were saying there's so many issues. But I hear you on that one. And Abdefita says Man United should have kept Carrick as an interim. Players respect him more, and Maguire is accident waiting to happen every game, not United captain. Louis Love says, I think what these players need is a fist fight, then out for beers. Don't know how that will go down. Maybe let him get out of the system, Louis Love's trying to basically say. And PJ says, we have an intelligent manager, but the team's lack of footballing IQ is showing. There are only 2 or 3 players that have a football brain. Yeah, I think that's probably the super chat of the evening. I think you can see what Ralph Rangnick is trying to do with these players. You can see what he's trying to implement, and then they actually do it for a short period of time. 30 minutes here, a half here, 20 minutes there, 35 minutes there, and then it just goes to shit. People said sin bin for Cam. Did he say McTominay? Leave the edibles alone. But in context, that's what I was going to say about what Cam said. In context of what he was saying he was basically so against Bruno having it that he'd rather go with someone like McTominay
Flex.
No, that's what that's what Cam was saying.
My McTominay
I'll send you
moment,
that,
I
KG.
got sin bin, yeah? I got straight to the sin bin with my McTominay moment, yeah? Cam's not getting no allowances.
O'Neill says Cam's speaking facts.
I'm clipping it. I'm sending it to KG, and I'm waiting for the phone to ring. I'm just going to send it to him, and I put my phone down. I'll just wait like that, and I'll hear it. I'll cut my ear. I'll cut my ear like that.
Yeah.
And I'll hear like faintly in the distance. What?
Elsibsy says Cam has a smooth flight, then messes up the landing. Yeah. And look, hold on. There's a super chat here from Daniel as well. Daniel Hodgson says, if we don't get Champions League next season, we won't have a striker. No Ronaldo, no Cavani, no Martial. We need a striker and CDM in the summer. Yeah, and Fabrizio Romano has been talking about that, and I think it's very obvious to see we're going to be in the market for a striker, a young, up-and-coming striker who can run around and put in a shift. That's definitely what we need. And Abdul says, hashtag facts Cam. Even Ralph said McTominay for captain. Yeah, he said that. Didn't he say he's got like captain tendencies or future?
In the
Really
future,
like. But you know what? Every manager, and I know we haven't been doing well. Every manager loves McTominay. And you know what? I'm just going to say this.
Shout out Mourinho.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. But and I'm not going to say I think he should be captain. But what I would say is, with Scott McTominay, yeah, he is one of those clear players where I think you can clearly see his limitations, but you can also clearly see what he's good at. And actually, we know he's not good at saying just sit in front of the back four and be a deep line. But you're actually okay at a box-to-box role if you can improve yourself on the ball. Like, you can contribute with goals. You're decent in a tackle. You can get about the pitch. You do care. No one can give him that label of he doesn't get it or he doesn't try hard enough. And he does actually, like, if you do say to McTominay, right, you're doing this role today, he will do it. Like, he will have the flaws where we need better. I'm not saying that, but actually he is one of the players in amongst like all of the mess where you're like, I don't know what Rashford's going to do today. God knows if Shaw's going to be bothered to overlap. Wan-Bissaka, God knows. When Maguire, we do know, but it's bad. Ronaldo, we ain't got a clue. Bruno, is he going to keep giving it away all the time, or is he going? But with like Fred and McTominay, it's like you know what they're going to do every game. Like, and there was a period where we couldn't score no goals, and Fred and McTominay were just exchanging goals and assists. Like, it was a bit weird. United Arena says one big issue is, with the squad is the lack of maturity. Most of them don't play winning football for the team. It's winning football for themselves. I agreed with that. And yeah, McTominay is a typical United player, blood and guts with no tech. LOL, says AD. Yeah, he's got limitations, Scotty, but I do think he's a very honest player. Like, you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting with him. You do know what you're getting.
And he has a part to play. There's no sense
he
that he doesn't have a part to play in the squad as well.
Yeah.
And in big games, you'd probably play him in big games because you need people that are disciplined and will stick to the game plan. And and just because. And again, it kind of rounds it up nicely, I suppose, that just if you criticize his limitations, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're saying he's the single biggest point of failure in Manchester United. Yeah. It's the same. It's the same as Ronaldo. You know what I mean? Nobody's immune to criticism. Everyone's got their faults. Pointing them out isn't agendas. It's just saying they didn't play well today. Simple as.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, just quickly, we've got over 1,600 people watching, which is really, really insane. Smash a like on the video and make sure you guys subscribe if you lot haven't done that already. That was a really good show. A really, really good show. One that was needed, man. Good, honest, chat about some serious issues. Some issues that actually we like to shy away from because it's like the elephant in the room. Like, I don't really want to talk about Ronaldo because I'm probably going to have to say he's been playing a bit rubbish, but I love him. I don't really want to say, no, like, just come and let's have a good, honest, safe space to talk. Some people said some more crazy things than others. Some people not so much. That's what happens. But everyone was honest and everyone was pure, and you lot did that in the comments as well. So big up Steffi Jenk says big up the United View panel. Yeah, really good panel today. I really enjoyed that. That's why the full view is great every week at 7 p.m. So yeah, guys, we go again. Press conference settings tomorrow in lead up to the Brighton game. The games are coming thick and fast. Marcel, I'm calling it now. Draw against Brighton. Don't voice note me when I'm up the M6 or something. I'm trying to listen to music. Josh presses it for me. He's driving, and he says, the phone goes off. I say, who's that? He says, it's Marcel. I said, play it. And then the music stops, and all I get is a lot of positivity, and I like it. But I respond back, and what do I say to you, mate? Draw. And I think it's going to be another draw on Tuesday. Hopefully,
I love Josh's secretary settings, by the way.
Yeah.
I've got a message. Josh, play it. I'll hold my calls for the remainder of the afternoon, please. I need to focus.
Well, Josh will be working. He'll need the hotspot to upload some stuff or whatever. Yeah. So he's got my phone all the time. So when it pops up on the screen on the Apple CarPlay, it will say Marcel West. I say, Josh, play that. And Marcel will be like, I've just got here, man. I'm thinking 3-1. We really need this. We're going to do something. He's so. If I shared you the voice note, he's so positive, and I do feel bad. But I go, listen, big man. I said, Marcel. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen, bro. Even it was the Middlesbrough one as well.
Yeah.
Marcel was like, flex, comfortable, 4-0. Yeah. I said, Marcel, we're not with 4-0.
It's funny you say that as well, because I have a similar thing with DJ most match days. He'll message me going, prediction, what do you think? And I go, DJ, I don't know.
Yeah. To finish off, actually, we don't normally do it, but let's do it. Marcel, what's your prediction Tuesday night?
Oh, well, Potter, he plays good football, man, and I'm starting to listen to what you're saying recently. So maybe 2-2. But we don't score many goals, but maybe 2-2, or I'm hoping for a 2-1 win, man. We really need to pick up points. So 2-1 or 1-0 win, I'm gonna say still.
Cam?
I'm going to 2-1 win.
James?
Yeah, 2-1 win.
DJ?
1-1.
Owen? You don't really do this, but mate, you can't. Owen,
come on, Owen.
You go,
man. I just don't. I think I'm gonna nick something that was on the one of the chats the other day. They called us Pablo Picasso FC. Always a draw.
Always a draw.
PJ says United
really
rolling too many draws. 100%. Yeah, exactly. And Tabasco says a captain must have quality. McTominay hasn't any. And I think it'll be a draw. Honestly, I really do. Hope we're wrong. But anyway, guys, we're out of here. Wicked show. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.